Hey, 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 HRpreneurs. How's everybody doing? If this is your first time watching, my name is Hannah Thurgant, and I am your HR Biz Success Coach, where I teach HR professionals how to turn their HR skills into a profitable business. Excited to be live with you all today. And this is going to be part one of our discussion. We're going to have an informal discussion today about how to make your first 50K. But I want you to make sure that you save the date because in January, at the top of the year, we're going to literally be breaking this out line by line to ensure that you have exactly what you need to have in place so that way your first 50K is achieved and you have a plan for it. Let me also say that if you've already made your first 50K in your HR consulting biz, still watch this, right? You never know, you might be able to get some tips on how to make your next 50K. Now, once I learned, the reason why I started out with 50K is because once I learned that hey Jamal, once I learned that I could make 50K in my business, I don't know, that was just like the game changer for me because I knew that that was, a salary. I knew that that was something. So that's the reason why I'm starting out with 50K. I'm not starting with 100K. I'm not starting out with 7 figures, things of that nature. I really want to talk about what is needed for your first 50K because if you're anything is possible, then it opens up the door for more. And what becomes your possibility now becomes your baseline, if that makes sense. All right. So, anyway, with that being said, hello, find a friend. Why don't you all let me know, especially those of you watching live or even the replay, let me know where you are watching from, at least the city, the state. And if you have an HR business, thinking about an HR business, that way I know who's on live. And if you know anybody that needs to start an HR business, why don't you share this live with them so we could go ahead and have this conversation? Okay. I'm not going to be on here too long though. So you want to go ahead and make sure that you share that right away. All right. So again, for those of you that don't know my story, again, I'll be sharing a little bit more. But I'm Hannah Thurgant. And I have been working in the world of HR ever since I decided to leave the world of education. I knew that I needed to switch, not because I hated teaching, but because I knew that I needed to do something else that didn't have as many restrictions for me. So I remembered an internship that I had as a high school senior, and I decided to pursue that role, which was HR. And since then, I've always said that HR found me. I didn't find it. Long story short, I have been working in nonprofits and Fortune 500 companies and government agencies, private, you name it. And while I was working, if you are in HR, you know that somebody's going to ask you, can you look at my resume? Can you give me this? Can you, all of those things. You already know. Once you're in HR, people are going to come to you for questions. What I started recognizing is that when people were coming to me with problems, they were leaving with solutions, and those solutions were turning into things that were really valuable for them. And I'm like, wait a minute, I really think this is a thing. I think this could be a thing. We were doing resumes and career coaching and interview coaching. That's how we got started. And then we transitioned into offering companies with services like employee handbooks and teaching them the difference between an independent contractor versus an employee and ensuring that they're hiring correctly. Then all the folks whose resumes we were doing, we ended up placing them and started doing recruitment. So the story is long. Make sure you join in January to get the full deep part of that story. But long story short, I knew that it was time for me to leave my federal government job and really started going full throttle into the HR consulting business that the Lord has blessed me with. So fast forward, I've just learned a whole lot, you all. Oh my gosh. And I'm hoping that some of the things that I've learned, that you all will be able to learn from them as well. And hopefully you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. Now, mind you, I know that mistakes can be a really great teacher, but I really do believe that in this particular season that we're walking into, especially with this wealth transfer, this is not the time to be making silly mistakes. So we're going to make some mistakes. At least let the mistakes make you money, okay? Not lose it. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve with this particular live, as well as what we're going to do in January. All right, so good stuff. Hello, Savannah, Georgia in the house. Yeah, it's so funny. I just spoke with another HRpreneur who took my course, and she also is in Georgia. I literally just spoke with her yesterday. So glad to have you. Glad to have you. And if you have any questions in the meanwhile, feel free to put them in the chat. Again, today's going to be really quick. So again, 50K is what I said. Oh my gosh, like this is real. We could do something with this, right? This is before we even made six figures and beyond. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, we could do something. So let's just break down. And I have my phone out because I just want you all to know that whatever you're thinking that you need to have in order to start, yes, you need to have it, but you really don't need much to start. Like if you know that you've been called to start your own HR biz, that's the number one need that you need right there. Because a lot of people are starting businesses because it's a trend or because somebody else is doing it. And again, I'm not here to knock that. I know that I'm called to people that are called. Okay. So if you are called to start your own HR business, then you are in the right place on this particular channel. If you want to follow me for other Henny B Speaks channel, where I talk about a few other things. This channel is for my HR professionals. Long story short, whatever you need, you probably already have in order to get started. Now, there are things that you do need, though, to ensure that you are effective, ensure that you can scale properly, right? But today we're just going to talk about the things that you need. So let's break it down. If you know that you've been called, what else do you need? You need to be clear about the services that you provide. Now, as HR professionals, we do a whole lot of everything. Okay. Most of it, especially if you've been a generalist for some time, you do a whole lot of everything. But there may be some of you that have specialized in certain HR, functions. And if that's you, then that's great. But what I want to really just kind of clear the air for us, just because you've been doing something in HR doesn't mean that you have to continue doing that thing in your HR business, right? You don't have to keep doing the same thing. Because this is your business. You get to do what you want to do, right? And a lot of people think, a lot of HR folks that I work with think that because they've done recruitment for the last 20 years, that they have to offer recruitment. Does it make a good, seamless process because you know what you're talking about? Yes, but don't feel like you have to be tied to doing what you've always done. Somebody need to go ahead and pick that up and pick it up, make it yours. Just because you've done it doesn't mean that you got to keep doing it. And just because you know how to do something doesn't mean that you should do it. Okay, so let that also resonate with you. So become clear about the services that you want to offer. And let me just free you with this as well. Most HR folks that I work with, when I teach them how to start their own businesses, most of them start with some services and they end with a whole nother different set. Because working with me, baby, we're going to pull out some stuff. We're going to pull it out. We're going to pull it out. All right, we're going to get real clear by the time we're done. So you got to get clear. Are you offering compliance services? Are you offering recruitment? Are you offering onboarding? Are you offering services for working professionals? What are you offering? Okay. And we want to figure out now, again, we're not like other industries. I went to so many different business events and tried to get tips on how to start my HR company from people who were gurus in business. And what I recognized is that while they understood business, they didn't understand our HR industry. Because in our HR industry, rarely do you just do one thing. One thing ties to another thing that you must be able to do, right? It's not just building a widget, right? It's not just building your social media plan. It's not like other industries, right? It's similar to maybe some financial industries is what I would say might be comparable. But it's super important for you to know that while you could take bits and pieces, our HR industry is very, very unique. So if you get clear on the services that you provide, for the sake of today, I want you to focus on one of those services, okay? Just one of those services. And now what I want us to do is get clear on, so what's your one service? Find her freedom. Tell me what's your one service that you are offering in your company. And again, if you're watching the replay, I want you to type that in too, because I'll come back and see. Maybe I can help you all online. So whether your one service is, let's say, employee handbook, one of the things you want to do is look at what it takes for you to complete a handbook in general. Okay. So again, this is not going to be the end all be all, but essentially what we're trying to do is come up with the pricing for what you're going to charge for these services. But it's not just the pricing. We want to know about your capacity. So that's the reason why knowing the time that it takes is just as important. Because if you've been called to your HR business, some of you might be called to have staff one day, and you need to know how long it takes. That's how you build out your portfolio and things of that nature. Okay. And if you're watching this, why don't you go ahead and like this video, like, and make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. So once you're clear, we want to figure out how long does it clear about the service. We want to find out how long does it take for you to actually do that particular service that you want to provide. Okay. So let's just say on average, it takes you about 10 hours to do that. Okay, great. So now you have 10 hours, and there's a whole formula, a pricing formula that you can use. You don't have to use it, but that can get you started. And I'm going to be sharing that in January, share deck, all of the things that you can walk away with. Okay. But once you know that time that it takes, I want you to think about what is your hourly rate? If you had to assign an hourly rate to yourself, what would that be? Is it 35 an hour? Is it 55? Is it 75? Is it 125? Is it 199? Is it 500 even? The ranges are all over the place when it comes to HR consulting. Like literally the ranges are all over the place, and there's no right or wrong. It just has to be right for you. I really just want us to get to the point of a rate of pay. See what it's going to take for us to get to 50K. Because when I started doing this, what I recognized is that if I had any type of income goal, that I recognized that there were certain services that I offered that I need to increase those prices because of the time that it took. So that's why I always like to start with the time, because sometimes you're like, wait a minute, I do too much to be getting this amount of money. You might multiply the time that it takes by your hourly rate, and you recognize like, oh, no. There's too much value here. I'm not going to price this based off of the time that it takes. I'm going to price this off of value. All right. But usually you don't get to that point until you've identified being clear about the services that you're providing, then being clear about how much time it takes, and then being clear about what your hourly rate is. Okay. About what your hourly rate is. So again, if you were just joining us, make sure you drop in the chat. Let us know about if you started your HR business, if you are still in idea phase. Just let us know. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from. Okay. Once you have those things, you will begin to see how easy it will be for you to come up with your first $50,000. Now, what was a game changer for me was offering retainer services. Somebody say retainer services, which meant that we were providing HR services to clients on a monthly basis, and we would lock them into a contract where they would have to pay us a certain amount every month. That was a game changer. The retainer is a game changer. Oh, that rhymes. The retainer is a game The retainer is a game changer for sure, right? So some of our packages were 2,500, 1,500, 5,000. And we really started getting in our sweet spot of the 5,000s and things of that nature. And again, you have to figure out what you would offer that. But let's just go ahead, okay? And I want you all to take out your phones. Somebody, if you put together something that's $5,000 and you were able to have somebody, pay for that on a retainer basis, go ahead and do $5,000, okay, times 12. Go ahead and do that for me. That's $60,000 for the year, okay? That's $60,000. Now you've surpassed your $50,000. So again, this is something that I use as one of our strategies when I'm working with HR professionals that are looking to turn their skills into a profitable business. Is if one of our goals is income, then let's figure out what are the services that we're going to offer. Let's figure out how much time it takes, and let's figure out what the pricing is. And then we kind of work with the end in mind. And sometimes, especially other HR professionals that I work with, they've been able to get to their income goal just offering one service. one service initially and then building up from it. There's a lot of things that you can upsell. There's a whole lot. If somebody comes to you for recruitment, then you know that they're probably going to come for you for onboarding. If they come for you for onboarding, they might come to you for training, right? There's a lot of upselling options and ideas that we can do, work with together. So again, if you just use that as your initial kind of your initial benchmark of what can I get up to 5,000 or multiples of 5,000, maybe it's 2,500, maybe it's 50, whatever it is, and then work with the end in mind. I'm telling you, the 50,000. If you've never made $50,000 in your business, it is a game changer. And you will see how quickly you get to six figures because you figured out $50,000. I hope that this was helpful for you all. Thank you so much for watching. And again, you want to make sure that you stay tuned because we will be coming live at the top of January. Make sure you check out my posts. I put the posts with the flyer on there about exactly how we got to our first 50K and specific steps and processes that you can take in order to make that happen for you in your HR business. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, don't forget to command your day.